Hey all, this is Lynn with Paper Life, and in Paper Life Facebook group, we're doing a challenge this week for making a mini journal in a unusual shape. So what the thing was doing a mini book that just wasn't like a plain, well, not plain, okay, I shouldn't say plain, but a traditional sized book, traditional shape book. So what I decided to do this time was I did, I guess, kind of a circle, but I cut off an area just to give me a straight spot. Mine is, let's see, what is mine? About 3 3/4 inch wide by 4 1/2 inches tall. And the reason I made mine that size is I just took a sheet of paper, folded it in half, and then cut there. Folded it in half again there, and then that gave me about the size I wanted my journal to be. So the way I started this was I grabbed my papers that I wanted to use. I'm just going to grab some kind of random ones here, and I cut them to be, okay, that pages are just not working with me. I cut them to be about 5 and 5 1/2. Yeah, so that they were half the paper wide. Now, for some reason, I couldn't cut straight, and I probably won't cut again straight because my pages aren't lined up straight. But that's all right because some of it was getting cut off anyways. So then there's my pages, and all I did was go in and fold them in one big group like that. Okay, so there's my pages. I'm going to set those to the side for a minute. Grab another piece of paper. Here's what I used, big old coffee cup that I need to throw away because it's chipped, for my circle. My camera is not in the best spot at the current moment, so I'm kind of having to make sure I'm in frame. All I'm doing is taking my pencil and kind of sketching around it. So now I got most of my circle. I didn't really measure when I did it to find out where I was going to cut that area off at. I just kind of lined it up on here to where I thought it looked good. Right about there, looks decent. Made a line, then I went around and I cut. We don't care about that. I cut down here and around. Now the reason for that is I use that as my template. So once I get it done, I can lay it on here and just draw a line around, and then they're consistent. For my cover, I used cardstock and some wrapping paper on both sides to make it sturdier. You could use cardboard, you could use really anything you wanted to. It was just what I had. I made this to send out to a friend for Happy Mail, so it kind of seemed to go with more her style. She could use it in a journal, she could keep it, whatever she wanted to do. You guys know me and my razor blade, my utility knife. I used my utility knife to trim around them. And because I'm a cheater like that, I actually took my stack of papers. I probably should have used a different colored paper so you could see what I was doing. And I just sketched around my circle. Now, and I even laid my cardstock on here as well, folded it in half, so that all of them were cut at the same time, exactly right, because I'm weird about having my pages line up. And when You fold them over, a lot of times you'll have a little bit of a staggered edge. I'm weird about that. At least when on mine, I'm perfectly fine with other people doing it on theirs. I just don't like mine to look like that when I get done making them. So just take your knife, scissors, whatever it is you happen to want to use, whatever works for you. And I just kind of slowly cut in, kind of going through maybe 3 or 4 layers at a time. And because I didn't want to make this video forever long, I went ahead and got some of it done. So after I cut all this down to get it to fit where I wanted it to be, I came back through on my cover and I used the wallpaper, just using a glue stick to hold it down. I did a little sewing around the edge because to me, the sewing just kind of adds a little bit of detail without being real in your face. I tend to leave my strings on, just trimmed down a bit. But what I do is, even on the journals I'm keeping for myself, but especially if I'm making it for someone else, I just come in and put a little dot of glue where my thread came out of it at. Tacky glue works good. Fabri-Fix, yeah, that's what I'm using today. Any of those, go with a white glue, or no, this isn't even white glue. I wouldn't use a glue stick. But I do that because 1, it secures my thread. 2, if the person I'm giving it to doesn't want them there, then they can just trim them off themselves and everything's hunky-dory. So here's mine. I don't even remember how many pages I actually did in here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's 7 pages in here. It was 3 full-size sheets, and then I put a book page in here. I did a light pink page that I used Kool-Aid on to dye. I just thought it kind of looked cute with the pink of the flowers. So what I'm going to use is just a book to make my holes in the middle. I'm not going to use a template or anything like that. I'm just going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and I'm kind of trying to eyeball where I'm going to put my holes. Oh, my chickens are outside making all kinds of noise, so hopefully that's not coming through. So I made one. I'm going to make one here, one about there, and one about there. I find this method works pretty good for punching my holes. I just take a book, preferably not one you're going to read, put my signature in like this, or in this case, this is the full to-do, because when you put it in like this, it lines them all up. I got a pokey thing here. I don't even know what this is or what it's supposed to be for. I picked it up at, I think it was like Harbor Freight Tool Company, where they have like really cheap tools. Now they're not the best quality, but this works good for crafts. And that is because I can't find my awl at the current moment. So I did 3 holes. They're not all the way through my cover yet. So all I'm going to do is just kind of work that in. I tend to try to be a little more cautious when I'm making my holes, so that I don't poke in too hard and make my holes way bigger than I want them to be. So I got all 3 of them now. Woohoo! Okay. Take this, put my book up. I have just some white embroidery floss. I think I want my tie to be in the middle because I want to decorate it, but since I'm sending it to a friend and I want her to be able to use it if she wants in one of her journals, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I don't know. So I'm going in the middle hole, out the back. You can either go to the top or bottom on this one. I think this was more the top hole. Yeah, the top hole, go back through into the middle. Really, this is a very easy stitch to do. You just want to make sure that all your pages are lined up while you're doing it. Okay, so this time I'm going to go down here to this bottom hole, ow, and stab myself in the finger. Now, as you can tell, my pages are a little wackadoo, but that's because I haven't tightened it up yet. Okay, I'm going to take my thread and try to hold it up here towards the top, because at this point, here's my inside thread here held. This point, I need to take my needle and go back through this center hole, which I need to get my pages kind of more lined up. There we go. Back through this center hole. Woohoo! The only reason I held this thread over here out of the way is because if you go back through that one, it kind of becomes a pain. I'm just going to pull that out. My little threads from sewing are getting in my way. The one thing you want to do is make sure that you have one thread here and one thread or one tail over on the other side of it. I'm just going to try to make sure I have this nice and snug without ripping my papers. And I'm just going to tie a square knot. So left over right, right over left. You could put more than one in, you know, do a couple times if it makes you feel better. Whatever it is you want to do. I'm going to actually go back through here, and there are going to be 3 knots like that. I don't know, it just made me feel better. It made it feel more secure. Trim these down a bit. These you can either trim really flush if you want them. Again, I would put a little bit of glue on it. Or you can leave them a little bit longer, and a lot of times I see people put little charms or something on there, and it looks really cute. I usually just trim mine down, but so there you go. Here's back to my front. So we have my little, was a circle? I don't know what it would be at this point. Just some coffee paper, some pink paper, my book page, and back again. So there you go. It's just an easy project. You can dress it up as much as you want. Once I get done with this, I'll take some pictures and show you what I ended up doing with it in the end. Like I said, I'm just not, I don't know yet what I want to do with it. I might embellish just a little bit, just a little. All right, guys, there you go. I hope you had fun. I hope you try this project if you haven't already. If you're not part of the Facebook group, go over to Paper Lifers. Yeah, I got that right. There'll be a link in the description. It's just something that we wanted to do to maybe help inspire. Some of us are having this whole creative block at the current moment. So if we have like a challenge, it seems kind of fun. There you go. Guys, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you want. And I will see you all later.